Next news is out of Alabama, USA. Again. Pro-life Alabama executes mentally disabled man a day after banning abortion. Michael Brandon Samra was convicted for helping his friend Mark Duke kill his entire family. Duke had planned the killings because his dad wouldn't let him use his truck. Despite Duke being the architect of the quadruple murder, his death sentence was ultimately overturned because he was only 16 at the time. Samra, who was 19, wasn't spared. As he was being executed by the state, Samra invoked religion. His attorney held up hope that Governor Kay Ivey, who we talked about last week, would extend her supposed pro-life beliefs to the death penalty victims as well. But the hypocrisy remained in place. Alabama executed a convicted murderer on Thursday, a day after the state enacted the near-total ban on abortions. Instead of investigating evidence of brain dysfunction, trial counsel repeatedly told the jury that Brandon was a follower of Satan and the involvement in his crime was related to his membership in a Satan-worshipping gang.
Wait, okay, what? That was a lot of... okay, so he was trying to use faith to save himself?
No, actually, he wasn't trying to use faith to save himself at all. This guy is mentally challenged. So he has a below average IQ. And the prosecutor, the person who was trying to convict Samra, kept saying that Samra was a devil worshiper and that because he belonged to a Satanist gang, he went ahead and helped his friend kill his family. His friend's family, not Samra's family. So
but these people did kill an entire family, including 2 children, correct?
Yeah, no, including 2 children. They did kill an entire family. I mean,
okay. So
that's bad. I'm not saying he's a saint or anything, but I'm saying at the end when he was on his deathbed, he did say something about like, "Thank you, Jesus, for everything you've done for me. Amen." Or some prayer similar to that.
It's so bizarre that the other side tried to use him
that he's a
Satanist. Like, what does that got to do with anything? He killed the family.
The satanic panic that's been going on since like the 80s across America.
So using the satanic panic still works in the court of law, so much so that a lawyer wants to use that in the court of law. In
the South, especially, yeah.
I mean, if you have somebody that has killed a family and you try to highlight the fact that they're Satanists, and you're a lawyer, that's actually pretty... I mean, if you're a lawyer, you must think that works. And if that works in Alabama, holy fuck, Alabama.
The defense is coming forward saying, look, this guy is mentally challenged. He's got a below average IQ. And the other side says,
does that make you mentally challenged? Or because the defense, devil's advocate to this might be like, no, this guy is just stupid, not mentally challenged.
Yeah, well, and that's why they say, no, it has nothing to do with his mental capacity. If he's able to follow along with the satanic religion and be a part of a gang.
Okay, so now all of a sudden the other side's argument makes a little bit more sense. So so maybe he was trying to sneak in the satanic panic a little bit, but his argument was like, no, you must be, if you're smart enough to follow these rituals, then you're not mentally challenged? I don't know.
David McAfee last year, I want to say, put out an article about the satanic panic, explaining how, throughout the past couple of decades, how it's been used in the court of law to turn juries' favor.
Really? Holy shit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wow. It's been used. So in child abuse cases where parents were later let out of prison and completely... charges completely dropped because the children came forward saying, we lied. The counselor who talked to us told us to see this.
Okay, but this case, do we know that this guy was, like, maybe he wasn't mentally challenged?
I don't know. I think that any lawyer that has passed the bar hopefully would go and get some tests done.
So maybe the argument that the defendant was making was we should do a test if he's mentally challenged. Because, by the way, just FYI, we don't know anything about, I don't know, actually, Ali. I don't know anything about mental illness, so I'm not trying to act like, and I think the lawyers didn't either, because the lawyers was asking for a test, not making the case that he is a mentally mentally ill.
Well, and here's the bottom line too: is that we want to point out the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
I am against the death penalty altogether. I don't believe the death penalty deters crime. It certainly doesn't deter murder.
We have data to show that it doesn't deter.
Absolutely, there's absolute fact showing this. It costs more to keep somebody on death row. Right. There's 1,000 reasons why I'm against it. And bottom line is I find it inhumane, right? But here we are. Here's this entire state whose governor just the day before signed into law that abortions were going to be near wiped out because she's pro-life, and here's this man sitting on death row hours before his death, by the way, hours. Right. He got declined for clemency.
So I'm going to put my Christian hat on, okay? I'm going to say, well, those fetuses are innocent, and this person was not innocent. That's the difference.
Aren't we all God's children? It doesn't matter.
No, but God's law says that you have to punish criminals, right? And this guy committed a crime. That's why we do not defend his right to live. A fetus has not yet committed a crime, and that's why we defend the fetus's right to live.
Well, I'm a good Christian. Everyone in Alabama believes that a fetus hasn't committed a crime because in Alabama they're a very Christian state, and every single child, fetus, embryo, whatever, is born with the sins of their father. See, you're confusing Islam with Christianity, where in Islam all fetuses and all children are innocent.
No, I'm not.
We're all born sinners.
No. Yeah, all children are. Everyone is born with sin, but not sin that is punishable by death, right? So. So if we want to do God's law, not every sin is punishable by death.
If we wanted to do God's law, we need to go ahead and wipe a few other old, antiquated laws from our books. Like, if you can marry, which set of cousins you get to marry and don't. I mean, we have a lot of things that are pretty disturbing that a lot of Christians nowadays would say are old and outdated laws that still exist. This has nothing to do with God. This has nothing to do with Christianity. This has nothing to do with the value of life.
But as a Christian, if I'm putting my Christian hat on and somebody calls me a hypocrite for defending fetus's life, but not this man's life, I would like, no, I'm being consistent. It's just you don't understand Christianity. This man committed a crime that is punishable by death, and a fetus hasn't. I'm consistent. So what would you say against me? Can I challenge my Christian? I'm going to put my anti-Christian hat on. Should I do
yes,
that?
Please do.
I'm good at. I'm a pretty good devil's advocate. I think. Okay, so so I'm going to give credit where credit is due. These are examples that Ali Rizvi mentioned, and if you ask a lot of Christians, this is the hypocrisy that I think you should point out, because this is not. If you look at their laws, this is not hypocritical. It's consistent with what they believe in. But if you ask most Christians in Alabama, if you ask them that, do you think doctors or women that do abortion, should they be put to death? They would say no. Right? They agree with prison sentence, fine, making it illegal. But if you actually ask Christians in Alabama, do you think the doctor that did the abortion or the mom, should they be put to death for committing abortion? Commit as if it's a crime. They would say no, that's too far. But why is that too far? If they think a fetus is should have the same rights as a born human being, and they think if you commit murder, you should be put to death, then why do they not think that abortion deserves capital punishment? And even after you pointing this hypocrisy, most of them would not say, okay, fine, capital punishment. No, they would still think you shouldn't have capital punishment for abortion. So by doing that, they're already admitting that, okay, then the fetus is not the same as a born human being. They themselves are recognizing that abortion, which they see as killing a human being, deserves less of a punishment than killing a born human being. And once you open that door, they now are admitting that it doesn't have the same rights. So that's one hypocrisy. Another hypocrisy that, again, I have to give credit to Ali Rizvi for pointing this out, is that if you have like fertilized eggs, right? If you look at the laws right now, they're against abortion, but not against, for example, if you kill a fertilized egg, they're not against that. Like if you, there's no, if, like ask a Christian. Okay, here's a good thought process for them. Ask a Christian that is anti-abortion. Let's say a lab is under, is on fire. And on one side you have like 1,000 fertilized eggs. And on the other side you have a 5-year-old child crying. Right? And you could choose which one you would save. Would you choose the 5-year-old child or the 1,000 fertilized egg? Because if you choose the 5-year-old child, now you have decided to pick the life of one over 1,000 fertilized eggs. Right? And I think most of them, I'm hoping, would pick the 5-year-old child. Right? But I'm saying there's these are the things that I think shows their hypocrisy. Because the problem with this is not like, oh, you're pro-life until the child is born. Well, that's consistent with their, like, killing this guy is consistent with Christianity. The problem is not their bias. The problem is Christianity. You can't just, if you want to go after this, you have to go after Christianity as a whole, which we do. Right? Christianity is the problem, not these. Again, I think the next story is going to make that point as well, because people keep highlighting these things as if these highlights are the problem. No, the entire religion is the problem. Because if the religion is
trying
true,
to make any sort of logic out of the irrational is just, I mean, it's a waste of time almost.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the thing is rotten to the core. You cannot just go after these results. Because when you have something like Christianity or Islam or any other fairy tale that you take seriously as a guide to life, you get these results. Of course you get these results. And it's consistent with their dogma. It's consistent with what they believe. They bring true to their ideology. You can't just go after attacking these ideas. You have to go to the root of the problem, which is faith and God itself. Or belief in God itself. Let me see what the top comment is. It's a meme. Okay, Heather is saying, remember, they are both pro-birth. Once you leave the womb, you no longer matter. I don't think that's fair. I think, technically Christianity says, oh, take care of the poor and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make it a good religion because that's just cover for all the other nonsense that comes with it. I think we need they're being biblical. Capital punishment is biblical. They're being consistent with their book. The book is the problem. Okay, let me see anyone else. Carrie is saying that's a very good argument. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Simon is saying good point. Oh, thank you, guys.
Atheists are under attack in many places. If they were Christians, their voices would be heard. If they were Jews, their voices would be heard. If they were Muslims, their voices would be heard. But they are atheists, and not many seem to be listening. Let's make it difficult for them to ignore us. We have built a global community, and now we are tearing down geographic, cultural, and language barriers so we can find each other and support each other. In the last decade, we have built the largest atheist community in the world. Now we're doing the same in other languages. With your help, we have started Atheist Republic in Persian and Arabic.
انضميت مؤخرا لأسرة Atheist Republic وحيصير عندي بودكاست باللغة العربية.
As we grow, we can dedicate more time, staff, and resources to start doing the same in Spanish, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. We are providing community, support, informative content, and amplifying the voices of those who need protection, especially in countries where people feel isolated simply for their lack of belief. We want to be there for them, and we are only getting started. Help us get there. Check in the description for ways you can support our projects.